everyone. I'm your host, Brittany Jones Cooper, and welcome back to Build. The ABC comedy American Housewife is back for a 4th season, and what better way to celebrate than to chat with Carly Hughes, who plays Angela, a cool Westport mom who offers up no-nonsense advice. Give it up for Carly Hughes. She'll be joining us in a minute, but first, here's a clip from American Housewife.
I cannot believe you took my daughter to get birth control without asking me.
Okay, you have to understand. When Taylor came to me and asked me to take her to the doctor, I was afraid that if I said no, she would start having unprotected sex, and I knew you wouldn't want that.
But I should have been the one to take her. I'm her mother.
But would you have taken her?
No! I am her mother!
See, this is why Taylor didn't go to you, because you always shut her down.
But when Taylor came to you, you should have come to me.
She asked me not to.
She asked me not to go to school in my pajama bottoms. You don't have to listen to a teenager. Doris, you want to weigh in here?
Yeah, Doris, weigh in. Tell her I'm right.
I'll do what I always do, okay? I'll side with each of you behind the other's back. That way, I see the favorite.
I've got to get to court, where people argue and make sense.
This conversation is not over. Angela, this conversation is not... She can't hear me, but this conversation is not over.
Put your hands together for Carly Hughes. How are you doing today?
I am doing great. I just made myself laugh.
Well, this show is hilarious. I mean, I just love how honest and blunt it is.
Yes.
I mean, every character. I mean, those 3 characters specifically.
Yes. They're the girlfriends.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have a choice. I'm going to tell you like it is. Specifically Angela. She's always going to tell you like it is. With a little sugar, but most of the time with a little spice. Yeah. She's going to not hold back.
Yeah, and then Ali Wong's character is just always giving the most ridiculous advice. We need that balance.
Yeah. My favorite thing of Ali Wong's character of Doris is when she's always talks about how rich she is. And Katie and I will be sitting there like, and she goes, what, you guys don't have like a pastry chef in the basement? And we're like, no, who does?
You guys look like you have so much fun, and we're now a couple episodes into the 4th season.
Yeah.
How does that feel? Because so rarely do you get to have to play a character for that long on TV.
I know. I feel very lucky and very fortunate and grateful. But it's amazing because the 3 of us genuinely get along and we crack each other up on and off set, which makes for a delightful, setting when we go to work because they're like action. And most of the time it's action and we're professional. And some of the times we just get the giggle bugs and we start laughing at something we did in the take before, but we don't have to hide and fight that relationship because we have it.
Yeah. Is there a blooper reel somewhere that we can
We
see?
do get a blooper reel. We'll have to get you one because we get one at the end of every season. And for the most part, we're like, oh, I said that? I did that? Ooh.
Can't say that on network TV.
Sorry.
So. Do you remember your audition? Like, what was that whole process like?
Oh, my gosh. So it was pretty special because when I think back on it, I was like, what in the world? It was opening night for me. I was doing Cabin in the Sky here at City Center Encores. And City Center Encores, you put it up in 2 weeks. So your opening night, you rehearse 12 to 6. So I was at the theater 12 to 6. 6 o'clock, I ran from City Center over to ABC in Columbus Circle, and I was like, blah, 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 audition. And I said the lines. I was like, lines, 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 be good. And then they're like, great, would you like to try that again? I was like, yeah, no, I got an opening night. I got to go. And then I forgot about it because I was like, it's an audition. I think I did great. Who knows? And then a couple days later, they were like, you're penned. You're penned for... It was at that time called Second Fattest Housewife in Westport. And I was like, oh my God, I'm penned. What does that mean? Yeah. I had no idea. And at the end of the week, they were like, no, you're flying to LA to screen test. And from then on, it was just like mind blown. Yeah.
If you shifted gears that quickly and then you went back, how did the opening night go?
I think it went great. I think it was amazing. It went well because I was just like, okay, business, show, fun. Yeah.
And this was your first reoccurring role on shows.
Series regular role.
Yeah. Yeah. So
first.
What was that sort of transition like? Because we'll talk about you did a ton of theater.
Yeah.
And then shifting into this whole new kind of world.
It was an interesting transition because one, it's stuff that I had been working on forever, taking on camera classes, and everyone wants to get into TV and film, but most of the time you don't know how to get into TV and film. So it was a situation where all the hard work and the opportunity and everything paid off, and I just felt really grateful. And then I got to LA and was like, where am I? It's so different.
Right. Because you grew up in Maryland.
I grew up originally from St. Louis, lived there till I was 7, grew up in Columbia, Maryland, which is 20 minutes outside of Baltimore. But I've lived in New York the longest. I lived here almost 16 years. So this is home.
Yeah. Was anybody in your family in the arts or entertainment, or were you really?
I mean,
just
my
sort of
mom
reading?
sings
Yeah.
in the shower and out loud in the car. But no one in my family does it. My dad can sing. And I remember as a kid, always, every time he sang, I was always like, I would shut up and like listen to him singing. But no, I'm the only one. And they all thought I was crazy for a while until I started working. And then they were like, oh, you could do this for real? Oh, that's nice.
So where did you get that kind of gumption then to jump into musical theater and
You know
maybe
what?
move to New York?
I didn't grow up knowing, this sounds weird to say, but I didn't grow up knowing about Broadway. I grew up renting VHS tapes from Howard County Public Library of Lena Horne and Gene Kelly and watching that and going, oh man, I sure wish I could do that, because we didn't travel to New York and I didn't know. I didn't watch the Tony Awards. So I was like, it's so great that they were able to do that. And then by high school, I heard friends talking about like theater and theater major and Broadway, and I was like, wait, what? People still do that? It sounds so sheltered, which I wasn't, but I just didn't know, because those outlets weren't, I didn't have them. And so I saw my first Broadway show in high school. The dance company went to see Footloose, and I was like, oh, snap. And then from then on, I graduated high school a year early, not because I'm super duper smart, but because I was like, oh, no, I'm trying to do this, like, for real. Because I figured it out, and then, like, springboarded. Yeah.
So what was the first gig you booked in New York?
In New York?
Yeah.
So I had been working regionally since I was 18 across the country for, like, Marriott, Lincolnshire, and the Courtyard Marriott and Daytona Beach at Seaside Music Theater and all of these like great merry-go-round playhouse. And then when I got to New York, I booked a West Coast premiere of Desirose, which was at Lincoln Center. And when I came back, I was like, I gotta be in New York. If I'm gonna work in New York, I have to be in New York. So I turned on a lot of regional stuff, and then May 2007, I booked my Broadway debut, which was 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee. And I think my agent called and I was like, shut the front door. I was so excited. And I was like, I get it. I got the job. I got it. Oh my God.
And then after that, you booked a lot of jobs. I mean, I looked
did.
at your theater credits, and it's everything from Chicago to Beautiful
Oh
to
my
Book
God.
of Mormon.
Yeah.
So what role really sort of made you realize, like, oh, I'm really like a stage performer?
I mean, all of them have, I left a little piece of me with all of them on the stage. But for me, the one, because it was right before I moved to LA, Beautiful was a very special one, because with that one, I got to have my first time performing on the Tony Awards, because we sang my song, Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow, and The View, and the Today Show. Everything happened that year. And then that same year, I got cast to take over as the leading player in Pippin, and girl, I have never worked so hard in my life, but in the best way. Like, I was challenged by the job to do things I never thought possible, like the trapeze.
It's a very physical role.
Like, who does a trapeze?
Yeah.
Not me. But also, I was on stage 90% of the time. I sang the entire show. I danced the entire show. And for me, it was like a boost of confidence of like, oh yeah, I can do this. I just hadn't had the role yet. And so, yeah, it was very, very special. And then Velma Kelly was after that, which was a dream come true.
Is there a role in theater that you still dream of playing?
I mean, I feel like my dream role is yet to be discovered, but I do really, really want to like get in the bubble and be Glinda. Ooh. I do. I just want to enter in a bubble and like sing in soprano.
I would love to hear you sing Popular.
Yes.
Come on.
I mean, let's do it.
Not on camera, because you solo, please.
No.
So then you decided to jump into TV.
Yeah.
And so what was your first TV credit?
My first TV credit was American Housewife.
It was?
Yeah.
Okay. I
I
thought
got
you were on an
cast in,
episode
like,
of Curb.
Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah.
That was after.
Oh, it was after?
Yeah. I know. Somebody else thought that too. I don't know. But I got cast in 2 other things before American Housewife, and either my part got written off, or like there's a movie called City Island with Andy Garcia, and my name's still in the credits. Yeah, but it didn't make it to even set even.
Wait, you didn't make it to set?
No, because they called and they were like, we're running over and we don't need you anymore. And I was like, what does that mean? Like, so come in later? I didn't know. But like, they were so, I guess, over that, like my name's still in the credits. But this was the first role on TV. And then after season 1, I think that was after season 1, I did a movie and Curb Your Enthusiasm, their reboot, and a bunch of other things. Yeah.
So what was the learning curve for you then, like on set? Were there any things that were just really a surprise or really different for you?
Nothing was too much of a surprise because I had been studying here with Bob Krakauer for camera stuff. But the actual surprise for me was the cut and the action and the opportunity to do things again. I was like, wait, it's not one and done. And you know that, but the amount like do it from this angle and this angle now over the shoulder and over her shoulder, and I was like, oh, so I can like perfect this a million times. It was interesting to get used to because on stage you have, as Eminem says, you only get one shot. And that's it. And so you do not miss your chance to blow. Right. But on TV and film, you're like, ooh, can I do that again? And most of the time they're like, yeah. Or they have to go, we need it from a different angle. So that was interesting for me to get used to because you don't get that in theater. You're like, people are paying, and if you mess up, it's on you.
Was that freeing then? Or I would see, like, I'm kind of a perfectionist, so I could.
It makes me nervous.
Yeah, I could.
It makes me actually a little nervous because I'm like such a perfectionist, and I'm like, I did it. And then when they're like, do it again, I'm like, wait, you didn't like it? And it's not about that. It's about like lighting or this bulb was out or what, you know what I mean? So it took me a while to get used to that.
Yeah, well, it looks like you're in a good flow because Angela really does. I think you pop off the screen. And again, that second breakfast is always a moment in the show I look forward to.
Thank you.
Is just like seeing these three women interact, like not as mothers.
Yeah, I
but
think
as
it's a
friends.
breath. It's a breath that I feel like every show, whether it's an episodic or comedy, needs a breath within it for you to release what's been happening. And I think the second breakfast and the girlfriends serve as that breath in American Housewife to be like, oh yeah, I thought that too the other day about my neighbor, or you know what I mean?
And your character Angela, how was she described, and in what ways has she sort of evolved or changed since the beginning?
I think Angela is. I feel like Doris would describe Angela as hippy dippy, but I think she's compassionate and kind and caring and extremely open-minded. And I think over the seasons, you've gotten to see her growth and strength. Because at season 1, it was like newly divorced and talking about the kids and I'm going to date people and do this or whatever. And now you're seeing her come into her work and being a lawyer and what that side of professionalism is for her and within the Westport, Connecticut. So I just think she's coming into her own and settling into being a single mom, whatever that means for her, Yeah.
And you're portraying a queer Black woman on network TV. And again, is there extra importance in that role for you?
I think, listen, there's so much today in today's society about, oh, you're playing a lesbian on TV, but you're not a lesbian in real life. And I'm like, everyone's viewpoint is valid, I feel. I feel lucky that I'm able to be a woman of color on television in the first place, but a woman of color on television who happens to be playing a lesbian. It's a human being. So if I'm doing my job right, you see Angela, who just happens to love women and have 2 kids and is divorced and also cheated on her ex-wife. Like, if I'm doing my job right, that's what you see. I'm not trying to play a lesbian. I'm trying to play a human being, and that's what I strive for every day. You know what I mean? So the honesty comes through. Yeah.
And I do think it is very naturally written into the dialogue. Yeah. Even in that clip, she's talking about birth control, and she's like, well, when I was in high school, I had to hide things from my parents.
Yeah.
I know what that's like. And so there's these really kind of seamless ties.
And Angela's been good about Angela and her character, but she's the one that will bring that up and be like, listen, this is why I did it, and explain it. Sometimes Katie will listen. Sometimes most of the time she does listen, maybe not in the moment, but they add that sense of realness to her and to the show through Angela of saying, listen, this happened to me when I was young. I think she's had maybe 3 or 4 like major moments like that of like, when I was young, this happened to me, and that's why I did it, which makes you go, oh, it's a real person. Yeah.
Exactly. And I just love also just all the conversations about parenting that the show brings up.
You know what's funny to me? We talk like all the parenting that Doris and Angela and Katie do. In real life, I'd be like, my kids would not be doing any of that. But it's so funny. I have to like be like, no, you're Angela now.
Yeah, well, that's what I was like. For a Black mom, she's real relaxed.
That's what I say to myself in my head. Like. And I'm like, this is a character choice. It's a character choice.
But how fun is that to play somebody who is just so opposite?
It's awesome. Like there was one episode last season where I think Angela said something like, well, I just give my kids hugs. And I was like, oh, hell no, I would beat my kids with a belt. No, but yeah, it's freeing to be able to play the opposite and play a new level of a person, yeah.
And I feel like this season there's been a lot of cool guest stars.
Yeah, we've had some pretty cool guest stars. I feel like, what was it, episode 1 where...
Alexandra Rosio, and then
we had Victoria's Secret models on American Housewife. Yeah, and then the cast from the past was, I think, last week, where Drew Carey cast came back and Dietrich got to play with all of them. It was this season is like really fun.
So what can you tell us? Are there any other big kind of moments that you can tease to? No spoilers, but
One of my favorite moments that's coming up is you get to see us kind of have a girls' night out. And I can't really say too much else, but you get to see us outside of Stewart and Kingston's. You know, you see our legs because we're walking around. And you get to see us interact in a different environment, like a bar-type environment, and see how Katie and Doris and Angela do. It's so funny.
are there shots of tequila involved?
In my mind.
Oh, man.
In my mind, there's shots of tequila. Probably, maybe after we wrapped, there were shots of tequila.
I just want to see those women, like, with shots of tequila. I feel like that would really...
Maybe.
Okay, maybe. That's a possibility.
Never know.
Do you drink tequila?
I don't drink tequila.
You're really missing out.
I know, I'm so sorry. I know. You know why I don't drink tequila? Because I used to drink tequila, and now I can't drink tequila. But I'm into mezcal now. Smoky.
Ooh, so it's like a more mature tequila.
Yeah, she's
like,
more mature.
Yeah. That's the same reason I don't drink vodka.
You can't do it.
No, I can't. No.
Too many things gone wrong.
Before we go, we do have a couple of questions.
Yes.
Who do we have first?
Hi.
Hi, Pumpkin.
I was just wondering, you mentioned like the differences between stage and TV. Do you have a preference between those, or?
Oh, that's a good question. I've been asking myself that since I moved to LA 3 years ago. Going back to what I was saying, like Broadway and theater, that's like a heartbeat for me. So I'll never get rid of that. It's like if I woke up one day and I couldn't sing, I actually don't know what I would do. So that feeling of, I know a lot of people think it's for the applause and it's for the audience, but for me, it's the feeling of creating something for the first time every night. Meaning, I'm doing the same show 8 times a week, but it's not the same show because inevitably there's someone in the audience, a group of people in the audience, where this is their first time seeing the show, or this is their first show. So the energy they're giving to me is not like what I had the night before, which changes the way I say lines and sing songs. And there's something magical about that. Yeah. But at the same time, TV and film, you can make those moments. You can make them what you want, and there's power in that as well. Yeah. You're welcome.
What was the transition like moving to LA and like really being there?
It was crazy. Like I can be a chameleon when I want to be, but moving to LA has taught me that I'm such a New Yorker. Like I like seasons. I like leaves changing. The wind today was my friend. It was just very interesting. The energy is different and the pace is slower. And that's not a bad thing. It's just that we as New Yorkers are constantly like tick, 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 and it's taught me to like breathe. Like I get in my car and I'm like, calm down, girl, calm down.
While you're in traffic for 2 hours?
I know, because if you don't calm down in traffic, whew.
You have a heart attack.
I know.
And one more question.
Hi there.
Hi.
Hey, you mentioned having a lot of exciting guest stars this season. I was wondering who would be your dream guest star.
Oh, you know what? This just popped into my head. I'm really excited about it. If and when Angela's parents are introduced, I'm going to need a cute Felicia Rashad to be my mom.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yes.
Right?
I can see it.
Yeah. That would be like, oh, I just got really excited.
Do you have a dream collaborator maybe like in general, that you would really want to act with or perform with?
Oh my gosh, so many. I mean, so many of my dream collaborators have unfortunately passed away. Like Nancy Wilson passed away last year, and Diane Carroll passed away this year, and I was like, no. Leslie Uggams, I mean, she would be fierce to play my grandma too. Oh my God, right? But yeah, I'd love to do a movie or something with Felicia Rashad. I've always admired her work. Kerry Washington, the standards, but like, yeah.
So you mentioned film, so you would like to continue and expand and keep going.
I'm such a, like, you know how people are foodies, and I happen to be a foodie as well. I'm also what do you call a person who likes to watch movies? A movie?
I think it's called a cinephile.
I don't like that one. I'm going to say a movie.
A movie head.
I'm a movie head. But they have served, like they do for so many people, I think, to take me out of reality. And when situations are bad or when situations are good, or I leave the movie theater, with just as much hope sometimes as I do leaving a live theater show. So I've always just had that inside of me, like, I just want to be like, you know, a chocolate brown Tinkerbell in a movie or something, because I just think that is so magical. And to like have my nieces and nephews watch that, because already seeing my family seeing this makes me go, oh, I did something cool, you know? Movies are they're a dream.
But I get that escapism. I do feel that a lot too. And I think especially now there's just so much diversity
Yes.
in TV and film, and there's just more opportunities to see yourself reflected.
Exactly. And there's so many more platforms now, as you guys know. I mean, like Instagram has half movies, I'm sure. But between Netflix and Hulu and Amazon and Apple TV and everything has their own studios now. So you can kind of you can do a whole movie anywhere. Yeah.
Let's shoot one.
Okay. We can play sisters.
Oh my God. What's it going to be called? No, we'll talk about this
We'll
later.
talk about it.
In the meantime, make sure you guys check out American Housewife. It airs Fridays at 8, 7 Central on ABC. And put your hands together for Carly Hughes.
Thank you.